So when I was in my 20s, I was a member of an all-women's whitewater team, and we did first descents. And a first descent is when you go down a river that has never been explored before. And we did rivers here in California. It was sort of the age of whitewater rafting at the time. And we did a couple rivers around the world. And we found ourselves on the banks of the River Bow, which is a river in Borneo. And we had traveled all this way, but when we got there, the river was at flood level. It was huge, it was nasty, it was very dangerous. And so we waited at the local Dayak village for the water to go down. And about a week in, the water still hadn't gone down, and we met with the chief of the Dayak village. And he asked us a simple question. He said, "Why? Why are you trying to run this dangerous river so far from your home?" And I didn't know how to answer that at the time. I was in my 20s. I didn't really know how to answer anything at the time. I didn't even really know why I was an outdoor adventurer and why I loved the wilderness so much. Because my parents weren't outdoorsy. My father, I don't think he'd ever camped in his life. And my mother was raised by her own mother who was really fearful and didn't let her do anything outdoorsy at all, anything rough and tumble. But my mom decided that her kids were going to have a more exciting childhood. So by the time I was 5, I was biking and sledding and swimming. Now, my mom didn't know it at the time, but researchers actually have a name for these activities, and they call it risky play. And they also call it rough and tumble play, RTF. But I like risky play. They call it risky play. And risky play, they found, is really important for kids, all kids, because it offers these great life lessons of focus, delayed gratification, resilience, confidence, and failure. In other words, risky play teaches valuable life lessons. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of research that shows that we discourage girls from risky play. There's a study that I think is particularly elucidating that involves a playground fire pole. Researchers saw that little girls were very likely to be warned by both their moms and dads about the fire pole's risk. And if the girl still wanted to play on the fire pole, a parent was very likely to assist her. But the little boys, they were actually encouraged to play on the fire pole. And despite any trepidations that they had, and a parent often offered guidance on how to use it on their own. So, what message does this send to both boys and girls? Well, that girls are fragile and more in need of help, and that boys can and should master difficult tasks by themselves. And of course, the irony is that at this young age, boys and girls are really alike physically, and actually girls are often stronger and more mature. And yet, it seems that we adults act as if young girls break easier than young boys. So this is where Girl Ventures comes in, and why it's so important. Because Girl Ventures is offering real risky play. Girl Ventures isn't just taking girls outside, it's taking girls outside their comfort zone. And I think we all know that it's there that they will figure out who they are and who they want to be. Now, a lot of people say to me, okay, risky play sounds important, but girls can get outside their comfort zone in all these and learn these important life lessons in all these other paradigms, like at home, at school, at space camp. And they're right. I think partly they can. But the outdoors and the expeditions that Girl Ventures takes girls on, the week-long hike, the summiting of a mountain, and the kayaking, these are special antidotes to the pressures that I think all the women in the room today understand really well. And that is the pressure to be pretty, the pressure to be liked, and the pressure to be perfect. All these pressures that kick in for girls at this young age. So I know that we can't eradicate these pressures, but I really believe that we can arm our girls with the training to see those pressures clearly and maintain their own sense of self. And getting outdoors is that training. And this is what Girl Ventures understands so well, that being pretty is pretty much impossible in the outdoors. I think it's the last thing girls are thinking of when they're climbing a rock wall. And being liked comes only after really being a good team player and after helping set up camp and checking out how everybody else is. And being perfect, well, I think those of us who are adventurers know it's impossible to be perfect in the outdoors, because outdoor adventure is kind of a series of failures that you overcome or face down. So when we get girls outdoors with something like Girl Ventures, these girls learn to value themselves not on the exterior things that society tells them to value, but the interior things, like resilience, like integrity, and like bravery. So I still don't have an answer for that Dayak chief about why we wanted to run a super dangerous river, which, by the way, it never actually went down. So we did what a lot of adventurers do. We admitted failure, and we left. But I think now I know a little bit more, and I think what I would tell that Dayak chief if I saw him today was that I really wanted to get outside my own comfort zone, and I wanted to do it with good friends, my good female friends. So I'm not saying that your girls should grow up to be whitewater rafters who do first descents, but I am saying that getting a girl into the wilderness is the best way for her to learn to negotiate a pay raise, to speak up at a meeting, and to have healthy, happy, fulfilling relationships. To that end, Girl Ventures is not just a really fun outdoor program, but I know it is a really fun outdoor program, but it's also the best way to prepare our girls for life. So please join me tonight in giving what you can for Girl Ventures, because it's really now more important than ever. Thank you so much.